Our next speaker is from the city I was born and grew up in, Chicago, so I'm very proud that he's here with us tonight. Chicago is the home of the Haymarket Martyrs that gave birth to the international labor movement that we celebrate on May Day, and it's because of immigrants across this country, especially Mexican immigrants, that May Day is celebrated as a holiday again in the United States. So it's interesting that immigrants created that holiday, and after a lot of years of repression of the labor movement and peoples within this country, that it was immigrants who brought back that day of celebration to us. It was in Colombia that I learned about May Day and its importance when I visited 25 years ago. Every union hall I went in celebrated the martyrs of Chicago. Likewise today, there are tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of martyrs in Palestine. And that's what our next speaker is going to come up and speak to us about. There is no more brave and determined people in this world today than the Palestinian people in their struggle. Another slogan that some of you gray hairs may remember from Chicago during the opposition to the U.S. war in Vietnam was, when the repression came, the movement chanted, "The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching." And today, the whole world, except for Trump and Netanyahu and their ilk, is watching and supporting and driving forward the struggle for Palestine. The whole world is watching. So I'd like you to welcome our guest speaker from the U.S. Palestinian Community Network. He's brave, he's bold, he's been in the streets to stop Trump from imposing the National Guard on Chicago, and we won that battle. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. That's right. So please welcome Hussam Marajda from Chicago and the U.S. Palestinian Community Network.
Good evening, comrades and friends. My name is Hussam Marajda, a member of the leadership of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, a Palestinian Arab organization with 8 chapters across the country that fights for the liberation of all Arab land from Zionism, occupation, and colonialism, as well as self-determination for the Palestinian people and the right of return for all refugees and their descendants. It is an absolute honor to be standing here and speaking amongst our distinguished guests, Honorable Ivanil, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Venezuela, and Blanca Acut, the President of the Simon Bolivar Institute, Ana Teresa Gonzalez, General Director of Consular Affairs and Cuban residents abroad. I would like to also give a special thank you to Dostor Zerlant. Thank you to Sarah Flounders of the United Anti-War Action Coalition, Gail Walker of Pastors for Peace, and my dear friend Tom Burke of the Freedom Road Socialist Organization for this special invitation. First and foremost, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our guests for their revolutionary spirit and for the immense struggles they lead, not only for the people of their own countries, but for all people around the world, especially those that are oppressed by imperialism and in my homeland, Palestine. The progress achieved in your countries has been nothing short of extraordinary and deeply inspiring to us all, especially that these advances are made in the face of brutal U.S. imperialism, sanctions, war, and constant intervention in your homelands and societies. That is why you are some of the most important leaders of the world today, and why the people and workers of the world love and respect you so much. Second, on behalf of USPCN and our people around the world, I thank you all for your brave stances in support of Palestine over many decades, and especially now during the most challenging times in our history and liberation struggle. You suspended diplomatic relations with the racist colonial state of Israel while Arab reactionary and comprador regimes were signing treaties. You support our liberation politically, diplomatically, and in the court of world public opinion, and we appreciate your bravery and principles in the face of such brutal attacks from the U.S. and other Western countries. Since October 7th, your countries were amongst the first to stand up and call the assault on Gaza what it truly is, a genocide. You were amongst the first to condemn the genocide and call for accountability and join South Africa's case against Israel in the International Court of Justice. You extended your hand to support us, knowing full well that support for anti-imperialist and anti-colonialist struggles puts you at odds with the empire. My final thank you is to the brave people of your countries for continuing on the revolutionary path of social justice and progress that sends shockwaves across the world. My people in Palestine and the Arab world and people of conscience everywhere recognize Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, South Africa, and others as our guiding light, as the beacon of freedom and liberation from the cages of reaction and empire. We salute your incredible accomplishments and leadership and the path to progress you light for the rest of us across the world. Viva la revolución! Viva la revolución bolivariana! Hasta la victoria siempre! Free Palestine! Sisters and brothers, siblings, comrades, what we're witnessing globally is massive resistance to the United States and Western empires and their hegemony over the world. The genocide in Gaza is exposing the crimes of the most vicious occupation and colonizing power, and the U.S. allows Israel to violate every single international and human rights law in real time and right in front of our eyes, in order to keep its vassal state alive and retain its power in the region. The days of racist, Zionist, apartheid regimes are numbered, and this is why we are seeing such brutality from Tel Aviv and Washington. Tom Barrack, the U.S. envoy to Syria, speaking about U.S.'s and Israel's plans for Lebanon, admitted 2 days ago in an interview that peace is not possible. Someone has to dominate and someone has to submit. What Barrack doesn't understand is that with the support of the world community and the brave nations represented on the stage tonight, the people of Palestine, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and Iran will never, ever, ever surrender. No matter the price. I would like to remind Barrack that even after 2 years of genocide and ethnic cleansing and indiscriminate bombing everywhere in Gaza, the direct killing of 65,000 martyrs and the indirect killing of maybe close to 300,000, according to a respected medical journal, The Lancet, the Palestinian people and our unified popular resistance in Gaza, the West Bank, Jerusalem, and even inside 1948 Palestine is still alive and well. Yes, Palestinian steadfastness and popular resistance are embedded in our blood and our culture, but also highly influenced by the people and leaders of Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and others as the beautiful examples of what real freedom and liberation looks like. Palestine is not the only place where the U.S. dominance is crumbling. Iran has risen to the challenge against Israel. The U.S. was forced to stop bombing Yemen even after dozens of threats. It is losing its grip on Africa. The U.S. has lost its trade war with China, and China is becoming more and more dominant, not just in Asia, but expanding its influence and Belt and Road Initiative in Africa and beyond as well. A Pentagon report recently released admitted that the U.S. is no longer shifting military resources to China and East Asia, a sign that it is indeed losing its dominance. The U.S. is losing its influence and dominance in Latin America. When multiple coup attempts fail, they resort to military invasions, as we are seeing now with Venezuela. De-dollarization across the world is accelerating, and more countries are joining BRICS, and more countries are standing up in the face of empire. In the United States, we are dealing with massive economic and political crises as well. Workers and important sectors in the Black liberation, Chicano liberation, immigrant rights, and other national liberation and oppressed nationality movements are rising up against the systems of injustice, racism, white supremacy, and capitalism that are inherent in the United States. The 2020 George Floyd uprising was one of the largest and most significant in the history of the United States. And now we are seeing massive resistance to ICE and National Guards in cities like Chicago, DC, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and others. These are all signs of a changing world and a shift in the balances of power. Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, South Africa, Palestine, Yemen, and all of our people are at the front of this shift, inspiring the whole world with our sacrifices, our steadfastness, and our resistance. Of course, we mourn our martyrs in Palestine every single day, and we know how brutally difficult it is to read the news and study the stats and watch the videos. But as a reminder, Algeria lost more than 1 million of its beautiful souls in the battle for its independence. Vietnam lost as many as 3 million of its beautiful souls to expel the French and the U.S. imperialists out of their nation. And just like them, with the support of the people in this room and the people of the world, Palestine will be victorious, and we will finally defeat Zionism, apartheid, and colonialism, and we will once and for all free Palestine from the river to the sea. 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 I close by expressing USPCN and the Palestinians' people unconditional solidarity with all progressive movements and struggles, especially in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. We uphold the self-determination of the people of Latin America and don't accept the deceiving lies and propaganda that is spread about them on a daily basis. Your struggles and progress and revolutions are showing us every day that it is possible to build a world that is just, fair, equitable, humane, and liberatory. You are showing us every day that we have a world to win and we have nothing to lose but our